All right, let's talk about something pretty much everyone can get behind: saving our pollinators. We've all seen the posts, we've heard the advice, but here's the thing: is what we're all doing actually enough to solve the problem? Let's get into it.
Okay, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. You've seen an image just like this a million times. It's that simple, powerful message that feels like it's absolutely everywhere. Save the bees. And you know what? The public support for this is just massive.
And if you need any proof, just look at this number. Almost 3 million posts on Instagram using just one version of that hashtag. It's undeniable. The passion, that public will to protect pollinators, oh, it is absolutely there. So we all kind of know the drill, right? We're told to plant native flowers, maybe let the lawn grow a bit, definitely ditch the pesticides. And so many of us are actually doing it, which is fantastic. But here's the big question we're digging into today. What if all those individual efforts, as meaningful as they are, aren't actually getting to the root of the problem? So, first things first, we gotta zoom out a little bit. Because as our source material makes really clear, the world of pollinators is so much bigger than just bees. I mean, sure, bees get all the good press, they're the superstars of the pollinator world, but believe me, they are far from the only players on the team. And just look at how diverse this team is. On the left, you've got this absolutely stunning dogbane leaf beetle, and on the right, a police car moth. But the list just keeps going. We're talking about flies, butterflies, wasps, even some birds and bats. And here's a fun fact for you. A lot of scientists actually think the very first pollinator on Earth might have been a beetle, not a bee. And let's be super, super clear here. Everything you do in your backyard, planting those native flowers, leaving the leaves in the fall, skipping the chemicals, it all matters. It really does. You're creating these crucial little safe havens, and your local pollinators for sure thank you for it. But those individual gardens on their own just can't solve the massive systemic threats these creatures are up against. And this is the inconvenient truth of it all. The problem isn't a lack of awareness anymore. We are so past that. The real bottleneck, the thing that's holding everything back, isn't a lack of public passion. It's a huge, gaping hole where government policy should be. And when you actually compare us to other countries, well, the contrast is pretty stark. You've got more than 34 other nations with national plans in place. Our own neighbors, the US and Mexico, have had strategies for years. But here in Canada, we have no national strategy. Most of our native species haven't even been assessed to see if they're at risk. The data is clear. We are really falling behind. And what's worse, in some places, we've actually gone backward. I mean, take Ontario. They launched this great pollinator health action plan back in 2016, and then a couple of years later, they just quietly canceled it. The province's own Auditor General pointed out that it was done without even telling the public or consulting researchers. It's a pretty jaw-dropping example of this policy vacuum. Okay, so let's zoom in on a specific case study in Alberta, because this is where you can really see what's at stake, not just for the environment, but for the economy too. Right, because protecting pollinators isn't just some nice environmental idea, it is a core economic necessity. We're talking about nearly 10 million acres of cropland in Alberta alone that rely on them. That translates into billions in canola exports, over $140 million in greenhouse crops. The bottom line is really simple. Healthy pollinators mean a healthy agricultural economy and, frankly, better yields for farmers. And on the flip side, from a pure nature standpoint, Alberta is a national biodiversity hotspot. It's home to more than a third of all bee species in the entire country, not to mention thousands upon thousands of other insect species. So protecting these populations in just one province has these huge positive ripple effects across all of Canada. Okay, so that's the problem. And it sounds big, I know. But here's the good news. We do not need to start from scratch. Experts have already laid out a really clear blueprint for what effective, science-backed policy actually looks like. The key here is that we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We just need to find the political will to finally build the car. And that blueprint is built on 4 main pillars. Each one is designed to tackle one of the biggest threats pollinators face: habitat loss, pesticides, diseases or pathogens, and invasive non-native species. So let's quickly break down what that means in the real world. So for habitat, the crucial point is that it's not enough to just create these little islands of flowers. We have to connect them. That means we need policies that support native plant nurseries, that make sure we're not accidentally selling invasive seeds in commercial mixes, and that actually use public land, like roadsides, to plant native flowers. It's about creating pollinator highways all across the landscape.
Now, when it comes to pesticides, the recommendations are all about common sense reductions, things that are totally feasible, like getting rid of the purely cosmetic use of pesticides on lawns, cutting back on the super-powered insecticides you can buy at the hardware store, and creating programs that actually reward farmers for using pollinator-friendly methods. And finally, we need smarter rules for managed bees, like honeybees, to stop diseases from spreading to wild populations. And we've got to get way more serious about watching for invasive species before they can even get established. Look, these are not radical ideas, they're just basic, common-sense protections for our ecosystems.
And all of this brings us full circle, right back to you. We started this whole conversation by talking about all the amazing work so many of us are already doing in our own yards. And now, it's time to take that passion to the next level. First off, 100% keep doing what you're doing. Every unmowed patch of lawn, every pesticide-free garden, every single native plant, it's a vital local sanctuary. Do not stop. That work is so essential. But now, all that incredible local action can become the foundation for something so much bigger. It's time for us to look up from our gardens and start looking towards our governments. This is it. This is the new call to action. It's about taking all that passion we pour into our gardens and aiming it squarely at the people who write the laws. Call your representatives, send them an email, share the research that shows why this matters for both our economy and our environment. Because honestly, the single most powerful thing we can do right now is to move beyond just planting flowers and start demanding legislated protection. Collectively, we've already proven the public will is there. We are literally changing the landscape one backyard at a time. So the only real question left is the one you see right here. When will our governments finally do the same?